All right, welcome to Doctors Minerva Oral and Jeanette Kaya, who were the rediscoverers of the Batman River Loach. I'll just jump straight in. Can you talk through why you wanted to return to Diyarbakir and to Batman after you found the Loach in October?
Hi. After our first expedition, we would like to understand the exact distribution range of the species. Therefore, we need a further survey in the area. But the water condition was very worse because of that we couldn't find the species, because in the cold water, in the cold streams, the fish is hide themselves because their activities is very low. Therefore, we couldn't find fish. So we tried to start or extend our awareness activities. Awareness activities is very nice. Maybe you want to speak about that?
Sure. Well, as Junaid mentioned a little bit, our first aim was to draw the range to see up to which point that our Batman River Loach lives. But as the weather was a lot worse than what we have previously checked with the weather forecast, we had to change our shift. We were there, we were in the area, so we had to use our time wisely to make a difference for the people living there, for the stakeholders. Therefore, well, actually, the rain started on the motorway, right?
Yeah.
Because we live in Rize, and we had to drive up to 700 kilometers down eastern part of the Turkey, where Batman and Diyarbakir is located. And
you sent that video, I think, the day or 2 days before Christmas, and you came out of the tunnel and it was absolutely pounding it down with snow. Everything was white. And was it kind of at that point that you realized maybe you'd not bitten off more than you could chew, but maybe you weren't quite prepared for how snowy it was going to be?
Well, we're so glad we get to choose our winter tires. God knows what we would do without that, because as you have seen some of the videos we shared with you previously, we got stuck on the mud, it was snowing, and it was really cold, rainy, windy. All that stuff came all together, and yeah, it was tougher than we thought. So we had to change our shift from working on the field in the river or stream to the awareness activities. So what we did, we started off with the local head of the local government. We spoke with them. Well, we must admit that it was quite strange to call them in last minute to say, okay, this is who we are and why we came for. But we were so lucky that all of them were really friendly and they took their time to understand what we were doing. And we are glad that we did, because not even single one of them knew about our discovery. Although we were in the, as you said, we were in the national news, for some strange reason, locally, not many people knew about that.
Well,
So
do you have any idea why that may be the case?
We do, because what we've been talking in national wise is a lot. People have already a lot in their plate, because it was the time that it's the end of the year. We always talk about the new salaries in the next upcoming year. So people had a lot on their plate to talk about. So no one really cared to, a little fish has been rediscovered. That was that time of the year, I would say.
Yeah. Okay. So that was, I suppose, going back again for this second expedition. That was almost an unforeseen thing that happened from it that maybe you weren't planning for. Is the second round of media coverage, which was actually potentially even more than when you originally found the loach in October. You know, it was covered. You sent through tons of pictures of the front page and lots of Turkish newspapers, and internationally, obviously, we had Leonardo DiCaprio tweeting about it. It made the news around the world.
Up to 20 million people seeing it, hopefully, you know, speaking of his followers on Twitter.
Yeah, it just goes to show what awareness raising can do, because I suppose I initially thought that once the loach was found and it had a good media splash at the time, that people certainly in the local area, you know, would start to, you know, the loach would be put on the map and people would start to understand the potential issues with the freshwater and the potential threats facing the species there. But it was actually you going back and really taking the time to speak with the locals and engage the students and the local governors. So how did all that go? What was the process of you getting into the was it in schools or was it in kind of local community halls, or how did all that kind of come about?
Well, we did have a strategy this time. We started off from top to the bottom. So we started speaking with the local governors first, the head, the, I don't know how to say it in English, but really we started from the very head of the little districts that where we found the fish. We spoke with them. We communicated. When we told them about this discovery, they were really happy and they took it really positively, and they said we will be following it and we will put this into our files with all the records, all the scientific papers, news, the Guardian, Washington Post, and all that stuff. And they were even saying that it's a great PR activity. We wouldn't even get that by, you know, advertisement and stuff. So in those meetings, we also asked local governors to invite the head of national education department. This strategy was essential because you cannot go to people's door and knock at the last minute and say that, okay, this is who we are, we came for this. We had to go step by step. So we spoke with them and they get us into contact with them, the head of the administrators of the high schools, for those that they have the most wise or most populated schools. So we went there and both of us, we spoke. In fact, in our presentations, we structured in a way that we wouldn't speak more than 40, 45 minutes. But as we were speaking, both of us, students were really interested, right?
Yes.
They asked really great questions and it was a really interactive talk. And some of them, because I think, yeah, at the end of our seminars, most of them, they go to their village by service that departs at particular time. So we had time limitation. Regardless of that, they were really interested, came at the end with their phones and even asking, Googling, and some of them asked really nice questions, and teachers were approaching us to get further readings and how to follow our research. So in this sense, and in fact, we even made a deal with them, remember? Because we said, we want your promise. Everyone who goes to home today, you're going to talk about this rediscovery and what to do and what you learn, because our seminar was more in broader sense. It was the threats to the ecosystem. It was not only about the law, Batman River law. It was also what we should do in terms of pollution, in terms of drought, in terms of microplastics and plastic and all that stuff. And I think in this sense, it was really productive, and we would like to believe and we anticipate that this seminar will motivate them to behave in a more responsible way to the nature.
Exactly.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, it sounds like they gave some really good feedback, the students and the teachers and the local government as well. Did you go initially? Did you go to the meetings with a kind of idea of how you'd run them? Did you have quite a rigid plan for, you know, you talk through what you'd done, what you'd achieved in the area, and then kind of come on to interactive engagement activities, or was it much more kind of free-flowing conversation between you and them? How did you kind of prepare for and plan the awareness raising engagement activities?
Mhm. Well, as you know, we didn't have much time to get it prepared for this awareness activities because, as we said, our original plan was more to look for the range as opposed to awareness activities. So we had only our evenings to prepare a PowerPoint presentation, for which we prepared, I think, 20 slides, right? Mostly visual aids and stuff like that. So we put them on PowerPoint, and it was more like who we are, what we do, and we talked about this lost fish species, and 10 of those lists, and first and the only one which has been found so far. And we even asked them questions. Hey, look there carefully. Maybe you have seen one of those, and they were really interested. All of a sudden, they start to say, "Okay, this lives in our stream. I know for sure. Last time I went to fishing, I saw that." Stuff like that. We managed to trigger their interest by asking questions that they would like to hear, and that has worked really well.
Yeah, brilliant. And have you got have you got any? Well, obviously you have hopes, but what kind of what do you think the awareness raising might achieve over the next, over the next year, over the next 5 years, and hopefully well beyond that, the next, more than a decade?
Well, what we can say is that as these are young generation, as these are our hope, we would only hope that they will change one behavior. Let's say they will stop using one single-use plastics, for example. Some of them, they were not, Michael, it was really surprising. Some of them, they had no idea that when we throw a plastic to the nature, it gets breaking into micro and nanoplastics, and fish and other aquatic organisms, they don't see the difference with their feed, and they consume it. They were not aware of this, and they were really surprised. We've given some examples, for example, with the latest publication from the pregnant woman, that we can now find micro and nanoplastics even in the unborn baby. It's crazy. When we talked about that, they were really surprised, and in this sense, we are hopeful that they will be more responsible. Would you like to say something about the ghost fishing? Yeah. For example, we talked about the ghost fishing, and that they didn't know that fishing is a hobby, and fishing needs to be done with angles, not like you throw the whole thing and you destroy the whole ecosystem. And there are even legal obligations, and as they haven't charged anyone for that. It doesn't mean that there is nothing done in the government side of it. So in this sense, I would say our seminar was really kind of mind-opening for them. So we are hoping that it will stimulate them to change their attitude themselves, and also for their adult parents, or for their siblings, for their relatives.
Yeah, but by the sounds of it, the people in the local area might not have had the opportunity to learn so much about the local ecosystem and how fragile it is and how valuable it is. So it was actually maybe it was a lucky thing, actually, that you're unable to look for the loach's distribution, and you were able to dedicate your time to raising awareness with the local people there, because they might never have had that experience before.
I wouldn't agree more. Well, speaking of which, I think there is a really big need to do something more in the area. Maybe a national scale project, a training project, or maybe a EU project is a perfect fit for that. But honestly, all we need to do is to take the time, talk through with these people. It's not like they do these to harm the environment. It's just because they are not aware the consequences of their attitude, their behavior. So if we can make them think the consequence of their attitude, I think things will change. And this is where the difference between making science and not being able to apply this to the much broader sense. We really need to make this bridge between science and the public, I would say.
So we're back in the room after a technical glitch. Where were we? We were talking about about the well, the awareness raising, and how a lot of people in the area, it might be really new information for them, and you did a really good job by the sounds of it of teaching them about about their local ecosystem, and why they should care and how they should care as well, what kind of things they can do on a personal level to ensure that the streams don't get so polluted. Is that where we were? I can't remember.
Yeah, exactly. I was talking about there is a really enormous need to carry out a project, which could be a national scale or it could be a EU project. That, as I was saying, people, not really villages, people who live in the eastern part of Turkey, it's not they pollute their environment because they want to do it. It's mostly they do it because they don't know the consequence of it. So in this sense, our seminar was really productive, and I think they got to learn the effect of plastics, that they do degrade to micro and nanoplastics, and they do learn about the effects of it, and they learned about the ghost fishing and how it destroys, and it keeps doing, it keeps, yeah, maybe he's gonna show some photos from our seminars. So in this sense, we really hope that they will, what we talked about our seminars will really help them to change in a more responsible way to the environment. So, for example, some of the photos from the seminars and beautiful scenery, as I was sharing with you previously, the mountains were covered with the snow, and I think it was by the end of it, right? Yeah. After all this heavy rain, the turbidity was quite crazy, that we wouldn't be able to see anything. Yeah, you didn't see any fish at all. And
are you able to zoom in on the photos and talk through each of them individually? Is that easy to do?
Okay, yeah, let's do that. So the first photo is from our seminars in the high schools. And the second one is when Junaid was in the stream and looking for the fish. Don't believe in sunshine. It was freezing cold, minus 18 degrees there. So yeah, I know it looks great, but
you know what the altitude is? It's obviously very mountainous, but do you know how high it is?
Rakam?
I'm not sure, but more about 1,000.
1,000. Hold on. Check out the photos I sent you. As I was looking for the GPS coordinates of each of the stations, and I just remembered, and I was telling you that just check it out. We can see the elevation. And the other photo is from the district governor of Sason. It is the nearest district in the area. And another beautiful landscape, and one photo with NGO Sarımder, which maybe it requires to talk a little bit more.
Almost 1,000.
Yeah, almost 1,000. Elevation is almost 1,000. Yeah, it's quite a mountain away. Sarımder is an NGO that there are up to 80 villages in the area in Sason Valley that will be affected. And these people are really interested in keeping the natural beauty of Sason Valley, faunistic and floristic. So, Sarum Valley. So, we had a meeting, a seminar, I would say, with them as well. And that by far was the most productive, because those people took their time to come and to learn more about what we have been doing and how to protect their villages. So in this sense, they were really interested in what we have to say. And the last photo is from another high school. I think there we had maybe 100 and 150 students. There were even people standing. There were no seats to sit down. And more photos from the seminars. And look here, I'd like to talk about this photo here. During the seminars, we wanted to make it not like a really boring like a lecture style. So as he was doing the field trip in the street, he took some really close photos where there was a benchmark. You see that mosque with the turquoise, upper part of it. Yeah. So we showed this photo and we asked them to guess where that was, and they were really excited. They said even some of them were from this village. So then we talked about that our Batman River Loch, Precious Loch, do not like plastics in the river. And then we talked about the effects of these other plastics. And even these little pickles, have you seen that?
Is that maybe what that is? I was wondering.
Yeah, maybe they were doing little picnicking there. So stuff like that. We made them understand the scale of it. And in this sense, it was really productive, I would say.
Yeah, that's really really good for people to hear, isn't it? What they can do on a very personal level to make a difference to the local environment.
Sure.
And this was all just after Christmas, is that right? It was around 26th, 27th December?
Yes, we start driving from here on 18th of December, and we came back on 27th, right? 27th December. So it must have been the Christmas time.
Yeah, okay. But the work for you never stopped. You were just working right through on what looked like a white Christmas. And
absolutely.
When was it that the media started picking up on this? Because as we mentioned earlier, the kind of second round of publicity seems to be bigger than the first round. When did the media really jump on and recognize the work that you've been doing?
Well, the first time was the rediscovery, and the second time, when was it? Can you tell me?
About the awareness activities.
Yeah, the second time was the awareness activities in the region, and the third and the most powerful one, I would say, it came with the Leonardo's tweet.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. And the second round, when you were doing this awareness activity, how did the word get out then? I didn't write to any of the Turkish newspapers. I didn't do a PR push from my end. Did you get in touch with people, or did word just kind of spread?
No, remember our strategy, we started from top. So as we were speaking with the local governors, the head of the government in the region, when we tell them about the Guardian, the Washington Post News, and collaboration with you guys and where we are coming from, they suggested us that it should go for wider publicity, and they invited over the press, and then it was all in sudden interviews, and they even stayed during our seminars, and they took some photos, and this is how all came together, all in sudden, but it was really productive time.
Yeah, it sounds like it really was. Well, congratulations once again, and thank you for all the excellent work that you've been doing. I guess I'll just ask one last question, and that's, I guess, the biggie really. through the work that you've done, what now are your hopes and fears for the future of the Batman River loach?
Well, our hope is every effort of ours, scientific effort, the manuscript that we are working on it, which we're about to publish, and awareness activities, everything we do is to make sure that science reaches out to the public. And if we can manage to protect the very restricted distribution area of Batman River loach in Sason Valley, that's exactly what we are hoping to do here. If you do you wanna add anything else? We don't want.
Exactly.
We want people to understand that we have only one planet, and it's so easy to destroy, but it's so difficult to get it back. So if we can make people understand, all the stakeholders, from the government officials to the I don't know, the president, everyone, we have to be responsible, and it's mostly lies on the shoulders of people who lives in there, the locals, from students to teachers to villagers to you, to me, to everyone, that we have to understand we don't have any more planets. And fish like Batman River loach, once we lose that, it's impossible to bring it back. So we need to make sure that we can protect it while we still have time.
Absolutely. That seems like a good note to finish on. Well, Jeanette, Minerva, thanks again for all your time and for all the great work that you're continuing to do. Yeah, thanks very much, and hope to catch up soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.